What's up, Cloud Crew, and welcome back to part 2 of our building videos. As you may know, my name is Justin, and we're going to dive headfirst into building on a RDA on a basic build setup. So the first thing you're going to need is your tools. The thing you're going to need is a set of needle nose pliers. We today are going to be using a coil jig, but you don't necessarily need one of those. You can also use a normal screwdriver. Then you need ceramic tweezers, which is very important so you do not short your coils out, and then a pair of wire cutters. And obviously you need your build wire. So now that we got the tools out of the way, I'm going to be showing you on 2 different deck styles, one that's a little bit bigger, one that's a little bit smaller, just in case you have one or the other. Well, let's get started. So the first thing you want to do is unscrew the top piece of your jig, and you want to choose what diameter you're going to use. Today we're going to be using 35mm diameter. It's a nice middle ground, not too large of a diameter, not too small. Screw on this top piece here, and then you want to find your wire and feed it into this little loop right here. Feed it in, clamp down with your thumb, find the same diameter here, and you want to do a few wraps. Today we're going to be doing 6 wraps, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this will be really nice for that medium range, about 50 to 60 watts, not too big of a coil, not too small, and very, very simple. And now I'm also going to show you how to do it on a screwdriver. Same simple process. So what you want to do is put your wire here, hold it with your finger, and just loop it with your fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now when you do it on a screwdriver, it's not going to necessarily look as clean, but in post we can clean that up when it actually goes onto it. So first thing you can do is squish it down a little bit, take your pliers and pull this out, and make sure that your leads are on the same side. Squish this down a little bit, and then later on when you heat them up, you can use your ceramic tweezers to push the coils together so that way it looks a lot neater and cleaner. And take this off and clip your leads. You want to make sure you leave a little bit of a length on your lead so that way you have some play. So the first thing you want to do is lift up the screws on your post so that way the screws do not get in the way of your leads. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the little piece of the coil jig, stick the coil on it, so that way you have your screws free to be able to put them in. What you want to do is you want to alternate your posts. So what you have is a positive, negative, positive, negative. And so what you want to do is put one lead into one, skip one of the holes and put it into the other post, just like this. And you want to get it so it fits not too close to the post, but it's not sticking outside of the drip deck, so that way you can fit your cap on top of it. And then you just screw the end piece down, and you want to make sure you screw it tight but not too tight so you do not snap your leads. And then take this out, put it into the other side, fix it up, center it a little bit, and screw down the next one. And like I said, tight but not too tight, because you want to make a connection but you do not want to snap your leads. And there you go, we're already halfway done. And then you want to take the flat end of the wire cutters and close your eyes so you don't get your coils leads in your eye. Snap and snap. There we go. And lift it up a little bit so that way it's centered. And there you go. And then you want to repeat the process on the other side. And there we go. Put this in here. Put the coil in. Make sure it's nice and centered in the middle of the deck. Clamp down the one side. Again, tight but not too tight. Center it. Clamp down the other side. Take your wire cutters and 1 and 2. And there you go. Next thing you want to do is check the resistance. So now we're getting a 0.28, which sounds about right for the build that I set up. Take this out just to make sure that it is reading correctly. Yes, it is. And so what you want to do now is you want to pulse the device, so that way you're breaking in the wires. So hold it down a few seconds. Hold it down a few seconds. See how it's starting to smoke there? And you want to do that until it starts getting red hot. Make sure there's no hot spots. Gonna up the wattage just a little bit because you want to start low and go up. So you don't want to burn the coils out. See how it's starting to get red hot? Looking good. And so this is the point where if you use the screwdriver, you would end up cleaning up the coil. So what you would do is while it's red hot, you would take your ceramic tweezers, make sure they are ceramic, and just pinch the coils a little bit. Make sure everything is nice, straight, and centered. And if you have any hot spots or they're not firing evenly, all you want to do, screw down your post a little bit. That's what it was. There's the guy. There we go. And then now they're starting to heat up a bit evenly. And you want to quench the coils, cool them down. And now the heat might mess with the resistance a little bit. So what you want to do, unscrew this, screw it back in, and make sure the resistance is correct. And then make sure everything's heating up evenly. There we go. Quench them again, make sure they're not hot so you don't burn yourself. And now it's a matter of centering them and making sure they're even. Bam. Bam. Beautiful. Now the final part is wicking. So what you want to do, take a strip of cotton here, take your scissors, cut a strip of cotton here. You want to make sure it's not too thick, so that way it doesn't have an issue going through the coils, but you want to make sure it's too thin, so that way there's full contact of the cotton to the coil so you don't burn your cotton out. And so what I like to do is I like to cut a little piece off the top of it, so that makes it easier to be able to roll just like this, so that way it feeds through the coil much easier. And you just feed it through. Make sure you have it evenly distributed. Cut the top piece off again. Roll it up a little bit. Feed it through to the other side. Just like that. And there you go. And you want to make sure that you have enough lead to reach the bottom of the deck. So, reaches about there. So cut it at about here on both sides. Just like that. And then you would take your ceramic tweezers and just stuff the cotton down. Just like this. There we go. You want to make sure you leave some room underneath the coil so you can get airflow underneath the coil, so that way it doesn't burn the cotton out. Just like that. Make sure everything is nice and snug. And again, make sure you have airflow underneath the coil, and there you go. And so the same process would be done with a smaller build deck. You just have to be careful of the size of the build deck. So you want to make sure that it's not going too far out, and you want to make sure it's not going too close to the posts. And then same simple process. So now that everything is ready, set up, and wicked, we're gonna drip our cloud chemistry juice on top. All you want to do is get the cotton nice and saturated, like so, and repeat the process on the other side. Let it soak into the cotton a little bit. Drip some more on there. Give it a few seconds. You can also drip some down the center onto the deck, and the bottom leads of the cotton will soak it up, so that way you get the entire cotton piece soaked. And once you have the entire thing soaked, have no dry spots so you don't burn your cotton out, ready to put the top piece on. And when you put the top piece on, you want to make sure that your airflow is lined up with your coil, so that way it cools down the coil so you don't burn it out, and you're ready to go. Tasty. And I'm Justin from Cloud Chemistry, and I'll see you next time, Cloud Crew.